Hi folks, HR Funk here. With something a little bit different today, what I have here is an MCK, which stands for Micro Conversion Kit, from a company called CAA. And essentially, the Micro Conversion Kit is a housing or chassis system, if you will, that allows your standard unmodified handgun to take on the handling and shooting characteristics of a tactical carbine. Now, why is that important? In a defensive encounter, under stress, particularly as engagement distances increase, most shooters' ability to put effective shots on target with a standard handgun begins to decrease. With the MCK, the shooter can, as I said, have the advantages of a tactical carbine and help keep those effective shots on target under stress from greater distance. Now, when I first saw the MCK, I have to say I thought this was more or less a gimmick, but the more that I think about it and the more that I handle it, the more that I can see some practical benefits to the MCK, and I'm going to go over that in this video. Now, I'm not going to go into the history and development and all that. There are already some videos out there, very extensive videos that cover all that. I'm going to be looking at the MCK from an end user's perspective, showing you some of the features, and then we'll see how it performs when I actually start to shoot with it. Now, the MCK, as I said, takes an unmodified handgun, and you simply insert it to the bottom of the MCK, close the latch, and your pistol is secured inside of the MCK. These are made for several different popular handguns. They are made for quite a few different Glocks. They are made for some Smith & Wesson pistols. They're made for some CZ pistols. So take a look online and you can see all the different handguns that the MCK can accommodate. Now, as I said, once your pistol is secured inside, you can see some of the advantages right off the bat. First off, you have the brace to help stabilize the pistol to be able to take those accurate shots from a greater distance. Also, on top, you see there is a Picatinny rail, so you can use a red dot sight or any kind of optic, just like this one. This is also outfitted with backup sights, which you can use. You normally don't have either one or both of those options at the same time on a pistol. The front of the MCK also houses a flashlight, and you can see that here, or you can have a laser up there or anything else you want. At the rear, we see a charging handle, and again, this is a Glock 17. If you look inside there, you should be able to see that. And the charging handle is used just like you would normally do by cycling the slide by hand, but now you have a charging handle to do that. And again, when you're shooting this, it gives you all those benefits of the tactical carbine. So again, the more I think about this and the more I look at it, the more sense it starts to make, and I'll tell you some of those reasons why I think this could be beneficial if you have particularly just one handgun that you own. Now, when I first saw the MCK, I really thought it was more or less just a gimmick, and I probably would have never looked at it twice had one of my viewers not gotten a hold of me and asked me to take a look at this one and do a review on it. And this actually comes courtesy of ERJG 1954. Some of you know him from the Saturday morning live chat that we do. And he was gracious enough to allow me to borrow his MCK and his Glock 17 for this review. And as I've thought about it and looked at it, the thing that occurs to me first off is really this is a safety enhancement for your pistol. The reason I say that is because it allows the shooter to put accurate shots more reliably on target. If you have a defensive encounter and you're using a standard handgun and firing either two-handed or one-handed, and the chances of putting effective shots on target, as I said, diminish when you get farther and farther from that hostile threat, there is a greater chance that the defensive shooter might miss. And any shots that miss are going to be a potential danger for anyone who is not the hostile threat that has to be stopped, the so-called innocent bystander. So by adding this and allowing the shooter to hopefully put more accurate shots on target, we are diminishing the chance that we're going to pose a threat to the innocent bystander. Also, by allowing more precise shot placement, we are potentially reducing the number of rounds that the defensive shooter might have to fire in that engagement before he or she can properly stop the threat to their safety. So again, the first thing I think about this really is it's a safety enhancement. Number two, I've already more or less covered, and that is it allows the defensive shooter to have those advantages of the tactical carbine. And as I come up with this into a shooting position, it really feels a lot like pretty much any other tactical carbine that I've used. It comes right up into position, gets your eye aligned with your optic, and you're ready to start your trigger press. So that's nice as well. Another nice thing with the MCK is for the individual who wants to have one fire and they want to purchase one handgun and have that do multiple different things for them. With the MCK, you can buy one handgun, you can buy a Glock 17, you can buy a Smith M&P or whatever, and use that for your everyday carry, for concealed carry or whatever, but then when you go back home, you can put it inside your MCK and use it for home defense and have all those enhancements that you get from a tactical carbine without having to go out and lay out the extra money for a tactical carbine. Now, for those of you that are going to ask, the MCK costs about $250, and that's from Optics Planet. I looked at that a little bit earlier this morning. So by the time you purchase your firearm and the MCK, you're going to have $750 to $800 wrapped up in the purchase. But again, you'll have one firearm and the MCK that is capable of filling multiple roles. Lastly, if you have other family or household members who are not really keen on shooting handguns, maybe they don't go to the range a lot, maybe they're not really comfortable with them, you can more easily teach them to put shots on target with something that gives you the additional point of contact with your shoulder and your cheek, as opposed to just one or two-handed shooting. So those are the main benefits I see right off the bat with the MCK. Another nice feature of the MCK that might not be quite so obvious right off the bat is that it provides a storage place for a spare magazine. So if you're in a situation where you fired until the slide is locked back on an empty magazine, you can drop the fired magazine, remove the second one, insert it, cycle the charging handle, and you're ready to continue firing if you need to. So again, another nice feature that was pretty well thought out. Now if you look at the very front of the MCK, you can see there's kind of an odd shape there. And the reason is because you're intended to wrap your support hand around the front, and it goes over the contours in that front grip just like this. So you don't have a standard forward grip or anything like that. You're really just holding on to the front of the MCK, and it feels pretty good. I mean, it's a little odd because I'm not really accustomed to it, but overall, it feels pretty good when I bring it up. You'll notice too, at the front of the MCK, there is a rest for your support hand thumb, which is another nice feature, and I believe this is an add-on feature. It does not come in the box when you get your MCK, but it does make a nice place to rest your thumb if you're coming up to shoot the MCK. And the other nice thing is, you'll notice the short barrel here with your thumb rested on the thumb rest and your hand wrapped around the front of the grip. There's not much chance that you're somehow going to get your hand out here over top of the muzzle. So again, that's not a bad idea either, just to have that thumb rest right there. Now as far as the pistol itself goes, all of the standard controls still function just like they're supposed to. You've got your magazine release here, slide stop there, and when I pull that back and release it, slide stop disengages, and if I had a magazine that was loaded in here, I would have just chambered around, but I don't. Magazine well is empty. If I want to lock the slide open, again, I grab the charging handle on this side, and it is an ambidextrous charging handle, which is another nice touch. Pull it back and lock the slide to the rear just like I would if I didn't have the MCK and I was using the Glock pistol. Now, since I know some of you are going to ask, the answer is yes. You can fire the MCK with the handle in the locked closed position, or I should say the brace in the locked closed position. I didn't have it quite locked there. So if for whatever reason you wanted to shoot it like this, you could. That's not going to impede the functioning of the pistol. But again, I think most people are going to prefer to shoot it with the brace. So now let's do some shooting with the MCK, or I should say the Glock 17 inside the MCK, and we'll see how it performs. I'm going to start out from a distance of 7 yards and just come up and put some quick double taps and triple taps on the target and give you a look at the shooting characteristics and the handling characteristics of this as I'm actually live firing it. And no problem whatsoever keeping those shots on the target, very well centered in the target from that distance of 7 yards. I had one shot that went a little bit high. I'm sure as I was coming up, I probably started my trigger press a little bit early, but when it settled back down, I was keeping those shots very well centered from that distance. Let's change things up a little bit and try some failure drills from 7 yards. This is going to be 2 shots to the body and 1 shot to the head in rapid succession. Let's see how the MCK with the Glock 17 does in this drill. And the failure drills went very well from 7 yards. Again, the body shots are all nicely centered. The head shots are good, except for this one. I pulled this one a little bit low, and I know why this happened. The MCK positions this optic about 2.5, maybe 3 inches above the bore axis. So when I came up for that first shot, I pretty well centered it, my reticle right here, and the shot went a little bit low. After that, I raised my point of aim to here, and those shots stayed pretty well centered. So that is a characteristic of this. Now, that's not limited to the MCK. There are a lot of tactical carbines, a lot of AR variants particularly, that demonstrate the exact same characteristic. It's just something you have to be aware of when you're shooting this from any kind of a closer distance and making a precise shot. Okay, let's stretch the legs of this system a little bit. I'm now back to a distance of 50 feet. I'm going to try a few shots from here, and we'll see how it does. And once again, those shots stay nicely centered. You really can't ask for much better than that, shooting from a distance of 50 feet at a shot tempo that was medium fast. I was not firing as fast as I could squeeze the trigger, but I also wasn't taking a lot of time. I was basically just picking up the sight picture and pressing the trigger. And again, those all stayed very well centered on the target. And on we go. Let's try 5 more shots from 25 yards. Okay folks, call me impressed from that distance of 25 yards, shooting at that shot tempo, and all of those shots staying nicely centered in the chest. Everything is in the lungs. Again, that is very, very impressive performance with the Glock 17 and the MCK. All right folks, let's try a few shots on the hostage taker target from a distance of 15 feet. Folks, one thing you do not get from the MCK is enhanced ballistics. You still get standard, in this case, 5-inch Glock ballistics, and my 9mm have always had a hard time swinging this steel target all the way around, but that was 5 for 5 with no problem whatsoever in putting those shots on the hostage taker and not hitting the hostage. So I think we can see that in terms of accuracy, shootability, and controllability, it is very, very good, and you still don't get diminished ballistics from the MCK, but this would be standard 9mm ballistics, and as I said, my 9mm always have a hard time cycling this target all the way around. So there you go, folks. What I originally thought of as a gimmick actually is a pretty good enhancement to your standard service pistol. And that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, as always, make sure you forward those to me. Remember, if you purchase anything from Optics Planet, like the MCK, be sure to use my discount code, which is... And if you use that discount code, it's good for 5% off anything you purchase from Optics Planet. Also remember, WarbirdBunker.com is making t-shirts for the channel. If you're interested in my t-shirt or any of the other patriotic or firearms themed t-shirts or gear that Nathan has there, go to WarbirdBunker.com and be sure to use my discount code there, which is HRFunk4U. See you next time, folks. Until then, good shooting. Bye-bye.